Good morning from the northwest of England. My name is Sam. Welcome back to my channel, and it's a beautiful January day here. Life is good. So if you'd like to learn how to turn these into these, then stay tuned and we'll make these gorgeous Valentine's friendly little earrings. Happy Valentine's Day's coming up. Yes. And if you have a loved one and you'd like to make them a pair of these gorgeous little flag earrings, let's have a look at these. Whilst I was having a bimble around Pinterest, which is a great place to have a look for some inspiration, came across a few of these. I've been doing a few bits and pieces with beading and peyote and square stitch and that kind of thing recently. So I thought I would put my little spin on it and put them on some wire like little flags. So I'm going to just literally go through quickly how I made these. If you're interested in seed beads and things like that, then this is perfect for you. And I've made them in the little pink with kind of a metallic brick colour. Only cute. So I'm going to go through a list of materials and we'll make these. So let's have a look at what we need. I'm just going to pop those ones out of the way. Don't need that much actually. Literally seed beads, if you have some seed beads. And if you don't, get some. I'm going to be using size 11s. You could probably use size, let's have a think, 10s or 8s to do these too, to make them slightly bigger. And these are Salon Ivory. I'm using Miyuki. And these are just a bright red, so that's all you need. 2 colours, obviously in Valentine's colours, if that's your desire. You're going to need some beading needles. I prefer to use these. These are Tulip size 10. As long as they go through the little size 11s a couple of times, you'll be fine. You're going to need some wire for the frames. Now I'm using rose gold. So to go through the frame here, I'm using 0.6, which is 22 gauge. And for the ear wires, I'm using 20 gauge, which is 0.8. Yeah. What else are you going to need? You're going to need some thread. Now, I've got a stash of this sort of fishing line stuff that I'm trying to use up. So I'm using 0.15 Nanofil. So I'll just leave that there. You can use whatever you like, as long as it's got a little bit of stability to it. You're also going to need a pair of flush cutters. You're going to need a pair of chain nose pliers, and you're going to need round nose pliers or your 6-step bell makers or whatever, just to make the loops and your ear wires. And I think that is about it. So let's get going and let's have a look at making these cuties. See you in a couple. And we are back, my friends. So I don't know, I've been spending a couple of weeks sort of squirreling myself away and ignoring the bad weather that we've been having here in the northwest of England, and sort of faffing around with not brick sticks, square stitch. Now I have to credit the very beautiful and very talented Jill Wiseman for teaching me how to do square stitch itself. So I'm going to leave a link to Jill's video in the description, credit where it's due. And obviously, I don't know if you know Jill Wiseman's channel, please, I'll link that as well. Please go and have a look. If you're learning how to do this kind of thing, she's a fantastic resource. I know she's going through some health issues at the moment, so it would be great if you could pop over there and support her channel. So I've been making sort of Valentine's related things. Started with the hearts, which, like I say, aren't a new design. They're not exclusive to anybody, but I thought that I would print off like a graph for myself. I mean, I've got an app called Canva, and I have the facility to sort of make like grids and things like that. So I printed off quite a few pieces of paper and thought that I would have a faff about and have a look at how the hearts could look, in different sort of shapes. The orientation, just for your information, the orientation of how you work determines the shape of the heart. So let me just show you here what I mean. So I did it lengthways, and the hearts are kind of fat, if you can see what I mean. And then I did it the other way, sort of shorter. I'll show you what I mean when we get going. And the heart looks more like a sort of just like a regular heart instead of a fat heart, if you make, you know, if that makes sense. I'll show you what I mean when we get going. And I've been making these for my daughter and her pals. So you just sort of, you know, design what you like. You know, just keep going and have a look and see. So, you know, if you can get this graph paper, you probably can print this off free resources on the internet. So if you just sort of have a look at square stitch, I don't know, square stitch graph paper or something, I'm sure you'll be able to find a free resource if you don't have something like Canva. All right, so that's just a tip for you. The orientation of how you do it determines how fat your heart is. If you want a fat heart, then go for it. A fat heart to go with everything else of mine that's fat, but there you go. So I'll just get these out of the way. Just thought I'd show you those as well. I may do a tutorial on that. I don't know. I might not. I don't know. So let's have a look. And we'll get going, shall we? Let's stop all the bimbling, Sam, and all the waffling. So I've already loaded my needle, which is a size 10 beading needle, with some of my Nanofil. I guess you could use something like Nozu Sunoku or one of the other thinner beading threads. But I've found that it's a bit more stable if you go for something that's, is it called monofilament? I'm not sure, but you know, the more sort of sturdy fishing line type threads rather more than the stretchy that you would use for like fringed earrings, you know. So I'm going to put on a stopper bead. Jill always says put on your stopper bead, so thank you, Jill, for teaching me how to do this. So I'm just going to put my stopper bead on like so. Ooh, like so. Went through the wrong way. There we go. Let's try again, Sammy. Like this. Now I'm going to try really hard to do this so you can actually see what I'm doing. So I'll do it down below, I think, and then I'll try and pull a bit in when I'm editing, because this, I don't know how people like Jill, etc. do this professionally, because it's really difficult to get everything to sort of focus. So I'll try my best. So we're going to need some beads. I'm choosing to use these little gorgeous 11.0 Miyukis. Now, I would suggest, if you can, to get good seed beads that are of sort of the same shape and size. Some of the cheaper seed beads are all sorts of different sizes, and in order to get the effect that you want, you need them to be uniform. Yeah. Let's just put some red ones out there. Okay. So what I've done here is I've had a look at how the heart shape suits best. So I'm going to be following this pattern here. So I don't know whether to keep that. Shall I keep that up here so you can see it? You know, I'm just going to be using one of those. Yeah. Right, so let's get going. I mean, you can follow along, or you can just completely ignore me and, you know, what I'm saying. I'm just rambling today because I've not been out anywhere, and I haven't had much human interaction. So if I'm waffling, ignore me. So I've worked out that there's nine beads here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So you want to start with 9 little 11.0 seed beads. So that's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Oops. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. Okay, so you want to get 9 of your beads. So I'm just going to shift these out of the way. Actually, I'll move all of this out of the way, and hopefully that will focus properly, and I can always bring this in if I need to. So we have 9 beads on our needle, and hopefully my big fat fingers, my big fat northern fingers, won't get in the way, and I will be able to show you what to do. Again, refer back to the experts, go to Jill's channel. She does this much better than I do, but let's get going. So we have our 9 beads on here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Brilliant. Okay, so you will need to bring them down to the end of your thread and hold your thread underneath like so. This is how I've been holding it. So what we want to do is add rows as we're going along, but you add a bead at a time and next to the bead before on the left. Obviously, if you're left-handed, you'd do it opposite to me. So you pick up a bead on your needle, yeah, and you want to go downwards through this first bead here, like so. And I'll try not to say like so a lot, and then pull it through so that that bead sits next to the bead on the left. Now the first row that you put on is squidgy. I'll warn you, it looks really, really off kilter, but don't worry about it. So hopefully you can see that that bead is sitting next to that one. Yeah. All you want to do now is to take your needle and go back up that bead. If I can see what I'm doing, I've got my right glasses on, so I should do. So if you can see here, back up that bead. Now I'm using my thumb and my forefinger to keep everything secure. So as you can see, we now have this little bead next to this little bead here. So, you know, each time you go along, you know, it's essentially why it's called square stitch. You go in rows and it sort of sits next to each other. So I hope this is focusing okay. Okay, so when we have a look at our pattern, we're going to start from the top here. So this is our first row. The next row along, we want to put 2 white beads on. Okay, so if you refer to your pattern, yeah, 2 white beads. What I'll do later on is I will pop the pattern on the screen and then you can screenshot it if you want to. Or literally you can make your own up, you know, like I say, nothing new. Nothing new, and obviously not exclusive to me. Okay, so the next thing we want to do is to put another bead on your needle and down the next bead. So again, I will try to do this so it's easy to look at. So it needs to go down the next bead. So we pull. And as you can see, that bead now is sitting next to the bead on the left. You see that? So we want to go back up that bead like this. So we hold it in between our thumb and our forefinger, give it a tug. And as you can see, we now have 2 beads sitting next to each other. So if we refer to our pattern, we now want to put 2 red beads on. You see here? So we've got the 2 white, and now we want to put 2 red on. So we pick up a red bead onto our needle and down bead number 3. You see that? And pull. So that sits our red bead. Yeah, bead number 3, it sits our red bead next to the bead on the left. And then back up. You see that? Back up and give it a tug. Okay, so each time you do this, you just want to give it a bit of a tug. And I promise you, trust the process. When I was learning how to do this, I was like, oh, it doesn't look right, doesn't this? But it all falls into place, I promise. Okay, so we now have 3 beads on. So let's do another red. Pick up a red bead. Well, that's a bit thin, that one. There you go. Pick up a red bead and down bead number 4, which is this one here. Bead number 4. Give it a tug and then back up. You'll be able to see little strings in between, but when you've gone back up with this pull here and give it a tug, you'll find that those little strings disappear and everything sort of magically fits into place. Okay, so let's have a look at our pattern. So we now want a white one. Okay, so pick up a white bead and down bead number 5. So always, you know, I'm sure there are other ways of doing this, but downwards and then upwards. So down bead number 5, pull it through, oh, excuse me, pull it through and then back up like this, back up, give it a tug. So then again, if we refer to our pattern, we want another 2 red beads. Bead on, down through the next bead, like this. Give it a pull, and then back up that bead. Give it a tug. So as you can see here, everything's starting to fall into place. Pick up a bead, down the next one, give it a pull, and up the same bead. Trying to do this whilst keeping everything nice and central and nice and in focus is difficult. Try it yourself, my friends. I really enjoy making these videos, so, you know, if nobody watches them, it's fine. Okay, so looking at our pattern now, we just want these last 2 beads to go on. So down, pull, and up, and pull. Yeah, can you see here? We've just got 1 more bead to put on, and then that's our second row done. So pick up your bead through the top of the last one, pull it through, and then back up like so. So that's our second row done. And as you can see here, we give it a bit of a tug, give everything a tug. Yeah, can you see how that's taking shape? Now, because this is a symmetrical pattern, you can quite happily just turn it over and reverse everything and there's no problems. Yeah, I'm sure with more intricate patterns, there's probably other ways of doing it, but you know, I'm a beginner. Hopefully you're a beginner. And I'm not teaching you to suck eggs. So let's go for row number 3, which is 1 white, 7 red, 1 white. Okay. So bead on, and then down through that first bead, pull until it sits next to it. Can you see that? And then back up and pull. And then we want 7 red, so we go for it. Let's just do this. Bead on, through, pull, back up. And you'll find that the more you do, the easier it gets to hold it, and the more sort of proficient you become at it. Obviously, I am not an expert at these things, and I do bow to the experts, i.e. Jill, thank you for teaching me how to do this. And I think the possibilities are endless with this. You could make some beautiful bracelets and you know, necklaces and lots of different designs. I have plans to make sort of landscape type designs of my local area, maybe a tree, or I live next to the seaside, so perhaps maybe a seascape or something like that. But that takes a bit of work of, you know, designing things. This is just a beginner sort of project. So I'm going along here. So as you can see, I'm just going in the top of each of the next bead up, pull, up, the next bead, pull, and and then our last white bead just to finish off row 3. So down through the top, pull just so that that bead sits nicely, and then back up the same bead to secure it in place. I'm just going to give that a tug and show you how that looks. So as you can see here, that's the top of our heart starting. So I'll turn it. Okay, and the next row is exactly the same. So 1 white, 7 red. So at this stage, if you want, you can fast forward this. You can turn me off completely, or you can just literally watch me doing this whilst I'm chatting to you and let you know what's been going on here in my neck of the woods. So I've had 2 of my children's birthdays in the same month, so that's been quite fun. Teenagers and all that that brings. Obviously we've been recovering from Christmas and New Year, quite hectic, but this I think is the time when you pull out your crafts, don't you, and you let them heal you. I have a really good idea for a video actually, which not necessarily jewellery making related, but how our crafts and our hobbies can heal us from things that we need healing from. You know me, this channel is primarily about crafting for mental health. Has sort of developed into jewellery making channel, but that's fine, which is my main interest anyway. But your crafts and your hobbies, you know, can help you relax, they can help you heal. If you've had mental health issues in the past, like I have, I make, you know, absolutely no bones about it. It can help you heal from things. Oops. And then back up. So I've got a good idea for a video on that particular subject. Now, whether that would be interesting or not is, you know, is a matter for debate. So here we go on the end of row number 4. So can you see how that's looking? Yeah, so if I bring this one in side by side. So what I've been doing is literally using my piece of paper with my design on it. But then when I've made the first earring, I've just been using that earring as a template for the second one. All right, so turn it upside down. The next row we need, let's count how many beads we need. So the next row is this one here, row 5. So that's 2 beads, and then 5 red, and then another 2 white. Okay. Meantime. Okay, so again, down and through, and then up and through, and that puts the bead next to the one before. Okay, so I'll just do one more through and pull, back up, pull. Okay, so I just need 5. So meantime, let me know in the comments what you've been making over the festive period. Did you have a nice time? What have you been making? What new skills have you been learning? Let me know. I'm always interested to hear from you. Primarily a chatty channel. And we do sit here and we make things and we chat and, you know, become a community. It's the lovely community that we've got here. Talking of community, actually, I do have a private Facebook page, which you're more than welcome to come and join us. I think there's sort of, I don't know how many, 1,500 people in there now. And we have a really good time most of the time. So if you would like to come and have a look at joining, then I'll leave a link in the description box for you to do that. It's a lovely place to be, and we all sort of share what we've been making, that kind of thing. So And it's a lovely place to share what you've been making. It doesn't necessarily have to be jewellery. It can be all sorts. We have one of our members who loves to share the things that she's been crocheting, and they're all just absolutely gorgeous. Right, so I think what we'll do now, because I don't want this video to ramble on for too long, so I'm going to stop here. I'm going to put a picture of my little heart design, which, like I say, isn't exclusive to me. You know, they've been done ad infinitum. This is just my take on it. All right, so I'm just going to put that picture on the screen. So, whoops, that was funny. So just put that picture on the screen so that you can have a look at it, maybe copy it down or whatever. Yeah, and then we'll come back when we get to the end and I'll show you what else to do. So here we go. Nearly there. All right, so that's what it looks like. Okay, so I'll stop here. Let me have a look. And I will just pop that on the screen. So it's 9 across and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 up. Okay, so I'll leave that there and you can screenshot it if you want. And I'll see you in a few minutes when we get to the end. Right, my friends, we are back at the end, and as you can see here, I've just literally got one row to do. All right, so we'll just do the last row very quickly. So, and I will talk about, whilst I'm doing this, just talk about orientation. So if you work side to side, let me show you. So as you can see with this one, we've started with our 9 beads going upwards, didn't we? If you started it the other way around and did your beads that way around, then you'd end up with a fat, you know, you'd end up with a fat heart. So you know what you mean, you'll know what I mean when you try it yourself. Yeah, a fat heart. So anyway, we don't want a fat heart, do we? So let's just finish this off. Finish this off. So up like so. I hope it's not been too much of a boring video. I mean, you know, I personally love just sitting and putting a craft video on, or, you know, a video that I'm interested in, just whilst I'm crafting myself, or, you know, just sitting and relaxing. You know, it's nice just to have some company in the house. I know there's quite a few of us who either, you know, live on our own or don't have access to get out very often, because I know I don't. So YouTube for me is, you know, a friend in my phone, so to speak. So, you know, I do have my favourite channels that I will tune into because they keep you company. So, you know, if you don't like my chatting, that's also fine. I get it. I'm okay with it. Don't worry about it. So we'll just finish this off. 2 beads to go. 3 beads to go, should I say. There we are. Hopefully, when I'm editing, I'll be able to show this close up and properly, and it won't be all blurred. It's a bit of a pain, isn't it, when it's blurred? But sometimes, you know, it's difficult to do this close up. I don't know how the professionals do it so professionally. But anyway, there we go. All right, so that is the last bead put on. So all you need to do now is just give it a little bit of a shiggle about, a bit of a pull. Yeah, so there is our finished flag, banner, whatever you want to call it. I'm going to call it a banner. Okay, so the reason why I've left a decent amount of thread on each side is when you are measuring your thread, I take what they call half a wingspan. So from my chest, the centre of my chest, and I stretch it out, you know, sort of stretch it out towards the end of my hand. I'm going to think, you know, I've got quite long arms, so I don't know how many inches, 34, 35 inches, maybe something like that, because you want to weave back in and out a little bit. So I'm just going to put the needle back up through the So I've made a mistake there. Am I going to be able to sort that out? No, I'm just going to have to leave that mistake in for now because I don't want to have to redo the whole thing. I've just left a bit of thread showing, but that's okay. So just weave back in and back out, which just basically gives it a bit more stability. Yeah, so leave, can you see? I'm just going back up each of the rows like that, just to make it a bit more stable, like this. Okay, so just keep doing that until you get to the end. So when you have weaved your little ends in, the first end anyway, take off your stopper bead like this, and then just re-thread your needle, which I'll have to do off camera because my eyesight is appalling. Yeah. And then just go down the next row, just to make everything a little bit more stable. Don't tug too hard, but just hard enough. So as you can just see, I'm just finishing this off. You can either cut your thread in the center up here or cut it at the end. So I'll just cut it in the center here. Okay, there we are. Give it a snip and a pull. So now we have our little pennant, our little flag. And the next thing we need to do, obviously, is to turn it into a little earring like so. Yeah, so what you need to do is to come in with your 0.6. That is 22 gauge wire. I'm using a beautiful rose gold colour because I think it looks really nice with the theme, doesn't it? So, I don't know, cut off about so much. How many inches is that, Sammy? So much isn't good, is it? You probably get away with 3 inches. I'm using 4 here just because. Pop your wire through the top so that it's suspended like that. Yeah. Then all we need to do is to come in with our pliers. Now do this very gently because you don't want to crack your beads at this point. You need to just bend your wire on an angle like this. Flip it around and we're making a triangle. So make sure that the beads, you know, are butted up against the corner there, and then make a triangle shape really carefully. And my best advice is if you're doing a pair of earrings to do this stage at the same time so that you've got, you know, that you can make the same shape and size triangles on both earrings. And then this underneath wire here, just put a bit of an angle on that because we're going to be wrapping this wire around this one. Yeah. So holding with a nice flat plier, nice and gently, so that you're not marring your wire. You can wrap tape around your plates if you really don't want to mar your wire, and just wrap your wire around a couple of times. With it being quite thin, you can get away without using a second pair of pliers on that. Neaten them up. There we go. So there we go. That's wrapped around as neatly as you can. Obviously I'm doing this under the camera, so it wouldn't be quite as neat as my other ones, but you know, you get the picture, guys. Give that a little bit of a squish. Right, so we want to make a loop here, don't we, to put our ear wire on. Yeah, so all I'm going to do is make a wire wrap loop, tiny one. I need my round nose pliers. Hang on a second. And I'm back. I'm so disorganized today. I do apologize. It's ridiculous, isn't it? Sit down and make a video, Sammy. Yeah, and then forget all of the tools that you need. Just make a nice wire wrap loop like that. You see that? You've done these before. You know how to make these. And all you need to do is to wrap this around, I mean, you can do this part however you like. These are just ideas for you, obviously. You know, if you wanted to make this nice and sort of, what's the word? Scrappy, not neat, you know. I've chosen to make mine relatively neat. You don't have to. Make it scrappy if you want. And just give that a little squish down so everybody's nice and happy. Yeah, happy with that. And then just double check that everything is nice and straight and neat. Yeah, and all you need to do now is to put your ear wire on like this and close it up. And that, my friends, is my take on this cute little design, which again, like I say, isn't exclusive to anyone. It's just my take on it. I thought it would be really cute to incorporate a bit of wire in there as well. Aren't they pretty? So have lots and lots of fun making those. Make lots of them. Keep going, make a million, give them to your friends. I'm going to be wearing a pair, and I'm making a pair for my best friend. And then I'm making these other little designs, the little love pendants for my daughter and her friends. Okay, so have fun, and I will see you in my next video, and hopefully it won't be as long next time. I've been busy. Take care, guys. Bye.